Locked on Astros. I've got a special guest with me, a TikTok superstar from Houston. We're going to talk about the Astros trades. Where do we grade them? Do we think the Astros will do more? And what to expect in the 2024 season? Let's go.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. I am Htown Wheelhouse, and we are here with Locked On Astros. We are your team every day. You can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. Please be coming every day or make us your first listen every single day. We are your team every day. I've got a special guest. We have Emily, the Baseball Girly, famous from TikTok and really all over the place on social media. Emily, welcome in. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You flatter me. You can find me on X, Baseball Girly _, Instagram and TikTok, Baseball Girly 713.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I know that you have been busy. I have been following you probably for, I would say about 6 or 7 months now. I noticed you on there, and I mean, you've got a lot of videos that have gained some traction. And what I liked was, and we'll get into this more like third segment, the last segment, because I want people to stay around to listen about how you grew. But I just noticed how you seem to explain baseball to maybe people who don't really know or understand baseball. And so you take it from like a ground level, but you really started to do some other things. You started to analyze stuff and you got more into it. So I do appreciate you being on here because I know you pay attention and I know you're a big Astros person.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I take these big concepts and just kind of shrink them down so the casual fan can become a big fan, so they can kind of learn, and they don't become casual fans for long. They become big fans for whatever team. So got followers from all different kinds of teams, and I really do love enjoying the whole MLB culture.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you know, this is a great time to be an Astros fan just because of what we've done, because of what's going on. You know, 7 straight ALCS. We did fall short this year. I was at Game 5 in Arlington. I was at Game 7 in Houston of the ALCS. And you want to talk about a tale of 2 games and a tale of 2 just one heart wrenching, amazing win and one gut punch of a loss. Emily, I didn't even stay to watch the Rangers celebrate at Minute Maid because
How
I
could you?
couldn't stomach it. It was tough.
Yeah. I couldn't even watch the World Series celebrations. I think I turned off all MLB things. I was like, nope, congrats, but not doing it.
Exactly. And so let's talk about this. The Houston Astros have made some moves. They've signed their backup catcher. They've got a relief pitcher. How do you think Dana Brown did? And now it's not, the offseason's not over, so it's not like they can't sign people. But how do you think he did going into the winter meetings, coming out with the moves they made?
I think it was kind of expected, but not in like I'm throwing a dig at him. Expected is in the Astros never make big splashes. So it's kind of okay. The Astros went in there, did what they had to do, some under the radar moves, some players that you might not have heard of. But I think what the Astros do best is take these guys that you think that they're done and then they just come to the Astros and then you revive them. So I think that we can do great with what we got.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love the relief pitcher we got from the Royals. I love Victor Carantini. Really one of the best backup catchers out there. The guy's got amazing numbers when it comes
Absolutely.
to framing. He's got a great bat. And it looks like a lot of the players were really bummed out that Martin Maldonado is not going to be here anymore. And I know there are a lot of fans. There are a lot of fans that didn't want him to come back. Were you one of them?
I I liked Maldine, but I don't know. I think it's when it's time, it's time. You just know. And it was time. Diaz, he learned what he could from Maldi, and I think it's time for a new era.
Yeah,
Sorry.
exactly. No, yeah, definitely. And I think it was his time because I do think at times he was an integral part. You do have to ask yourself last year, had he played more here and there in the playoffs, would that have made a difference? I don't know, because with the way this team disappeared at home,
Yeah.
you know,
I,
w-
Maldi doing anything would not have changed any. It's a whole team effort. It's not Maldi or Rupianer played one more game or two more games. No. Sorry, it's a
right,
team effort.
exactly. So they said going into the offseason, they had to get a backup catcher. They did that. They said they had to go get relief pitchers. They've done that. They've also got Bennett Souza, who I was hoping would, he was not eligible for the playoff roster, but this guy, I think next year is going to be a nice surprise. And they are still talking to 3 relief pitchers right now in free agency. They're still talking to Baton, they're still talking to Naries, and they're talking to Stevenson from the Rays. So I don't know that they sign a guy just off of the free agent market. They could trade some people. I think we have
Mhm.
a of talent in other places. Um, do you think they need to make any other moves, or do you think they're good with what we have right now?
I would like a little bit more relief pitcher help. Neris, Maton, Stanek, they were such a critical part of that bullpen. 1/3 of the time, it was going to be one of those 3 coming out, which is a really big percentage. If you think about it, through 33% of the time, it's one of those 3. So if potentially Neris doesn't come back, then what do? You lost some good arms.
Oh yeah, and to answer Mr. Corona is here every single night. This dude is faithful to us. We appreciate you, sir. And no, I don't think we're out on Hicks. I think I just forgot to mention him. I just know that they're talking to several relievers. But I don't know if you heard Chandler Rome's comments today. He was on a podcast today, and he said that from what he gathers, the temperature that he feels like in the room for the Astros is that they are not going to necessarily sign any more free agents, but that they may trade a major league player for a major league player. But my question is, who would that major league player be?
Yeah.
Now, there was a small tinge of a rumor saying that the Astros were thinking about if they signed Jordan Hicks, maybe they trade Ryan Presley. But Ryan Presley only has 1 more year left on his deal. He is 34, so he'll be getting a pretty big contract next year. I don't know that someone's going to take on $14 million at 34 for a relief pitcher in a
Right.
trade. But the only reason why you would do that is to get the money out from under you so you could get back under the cap. Because someone like a Presley would be the person you would deal. But I don't even like that idea, because I think if we've got Abreu still,
Yeah.
we've got him as a setup man for Presley, and then this guy that we just got from the Royals,
Coleman.
Coleman can be the 7th inning guy. This guy's got good stuff. This guy's got
Yeah.
movement. I don't know if you saw the video I put up
Oh,
from,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Nasty.
from the Tread Sports
22? Yeah.
Academy. Yeah, that was crazy. But the movement on his ball is live. And so, yeah, so I don't know. Like, what if they traded Presley? Would you be upset? I don't know if I like that
No.
idea.
So that came out a little too quick, sorry. I
No, that's
don't
okay.
think that would be the I wouldn't be, super mortified, because at some points in the season I was thinking, wow, Brian Abreu could be our closer. So, yeah, I think we'd be
You
okay if we
know,
lost him.
well, here's the deal. Ryan Presley doesn't get a ton of respect because Ryan Presley went from a relief pitcher to a setup man to a closing role when Roberto Osuna blew out his elbow and he was still at the Astros. And so
Mhm.
Presley stepped into the closer role and he's done great ever since.
Yeah.
And the reason why this conversation I had today, the reason why I think people claim, quote unquote, Presley doesn't have it is because he doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. He
Yeah.
doesn't throw really, really hard. He throws mid 90s at the highest, but that's not his game. His game is swing and miss. And this would be a great name. Matt McNeil says Yorel Rodriguez is a Cuban relief pitcher who pitched for Team Japan. He's got good numbers. He would be great. What do you think about this, Emily? If we've already gone over the threshold, why don't we just go big or go home, right? Why don't we just, heck, just sign Ohtani. I don't care.
I was literally about to say Yamamoto. I said, just go for Yamamoto. No, I think they can just spend the money. You don't have to spend Ohtani, Yamamoto, Soto money, but come on, open up your pockets a little bit. It's Christmas. We want a good Christmas gift.
Give us
something.
So, hey, our next segment, we're going to talk about some other moves that we think the Astros might make, and then we're going to talk to you about your growing social media presence. But first, I'm going to tell the people about FanDuel. So FanDuel is the number one sports book in America, and as the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot in the NFL with FanDuel. New customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Look, the Texans are playing the Jets. Go bet the money line for the Texans. And if you win on a $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets. That's right. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, why are you still thinking about it? Go do it now. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and kick off the NFL season today. And one more thing, before we get rolling again, I need to tell you that Locked On today is the first ever 24/7 national streaming channel. That's right. On YouTube, you can subscribe today. The top stories of the day with local experts like myself and Eric and of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. Remember, we're your team every single day. So, Emily, as we bring you back, let me thank you once again for joining the show. You're getting some love in the comments here. We got some people saying Wheelhouse and Emily. That's awesome. I mean, people are loving it right here. Locked on Astros and Baseball Girly. Awesome. Anna Ramirez says that. Ben Hur says, hey, Maldi would not be bad for a coach. Let me tell you, I've seen Maldi taking some hacks in the batting cage. I think he's planning on playing for a couple more years. I don't think he's done. And look, here's another name that I've mentioned earlier. Jung Ho Lee would be great. I mean, look, why can't we dip into that Japanese market? I mean, why not?
Why not? I guess we love our Latinos here in Houston. I mean,
we do. No, you're not lying. I think we have one of the deepest systems, and I think our club has one of the highest percentages. I mean, there are a lot of Latin players, but the Astros have just done exceptionally well, and a lot of that started with Jeff Lunau. Jeff Lunau really revitalized that outreach, and we've got guys from Venezuela, from Mexico. I mean, we just signed a guy that I was told about from Elvis Rodriguez, an 18-year-old. I'm going to grab his name real quick. Yeah. This kid is something else. He is, I believe he's 18. He is from Venezuela, and just a phenomenal talent. While I look that up, I'm going to ask you, what other moves do you think the Astros need to make between now and the start of spring training?
I think any decision that they have announced, like center field, for example, that's a whole nother thing. But I think we should really just focus on the pitching, honestly, because everything is solid for now. Abreu was not Brian Abreu, first baseman Abreu. He was kind of something that people didn't really like last year. Then he kind of showed up late in the season, showed off in the playoffs. So I think people are a little bit more confident with him going into this season. Nothing else infield wise or outfield wise, I think is so, that we have to fix. Absolutely. Just strengthen your pitching. Pitching wins games. Like, what else can I say?
Yeah, it does. And I really think in a lot of cases, had we been able to get through to the World Series, I think that the Astros could easily match up with the Diamondbacks, and I really think that we could have won. But here's the
100.
kid I was talking about. His name is Carlos Caro, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Cauro. He is a first baseman, center fielder, and DH. This kid's 18 years old in 7 months. He's 6'2", 184.
Ooh.
His last season in the Dominican Summer League for the blue team in 23, he had 144 at bats, scored 25 runs, had 45 hits, 12 doubles, 6 home runs, 25 RBI, a slash line of 313, 521, and 965.
You said he's first baseman?
This yeah, well, it was so he was in 2022. He
Hmm.
played for blue, but he brought up his average like 80 to 100 points. Elvis Rodriguez is actually one of the Dominican Summer League hitting coaches, and
Hmm.
I believe that he will be making a move to another organization here pretty soon, but we keep in contact with him. And I asked him what other guys he is most proud of coaching, and he clearly said Luis Baez was one of them. And
Mm.
then this kid right here, he just said there are so many guys in our system that as long as they take the right steps, because we've talked to him a lot of Pedro Leon.
Yeah.
Pedro Leon is the guy that's a 5-tool player, but he cannot figure out his swing in AAA. I hope that he finds his swing because
Yeah.
we've got some promise down there in AAA and some guys that can really make a difference.
Absolutely. I agree. Their farm system, everyone's saying that they kind of need to invest in that because that's usually where the Astros get their players anyway. And that's why they don't make these big splashes in the winter meetings and in the off season because they can just grow it in their backyard. Why are they going to spend
Exactly.
money?
Exactly. Yeah. Why? And it looks like Marco wanted me to tell you that you are his crush. So I had to let you know. That's what he said. So there you go. We don't, hey, Eric and I don't
Oh,
get publicity like that. So thank you for joining the show, Emily. No,
no, because
but
someone said, "Hi, Coach Chancey." So you got fans over here too.
yes,
Don't
yeah,
worry
I
about
do. I do.
that. So
Well, yeah, yeah, those are probably students of mine that go to my school. I think some of them follow
I
me on
love
TikTok, and so
that.
yeah,
I
I
love
teach I,
that.
I teach seventh grade. So, but so this last year, before we get to your growing social media presence, like what were your thoughts? Because we haven't talked a whole lot about how you felt about this last year. We're not going to talk. We've already talked about the not getting the World Series, but how mind-boggling was it to you for this team to be such an amazing road team, but come home and just because it seemed like every game I went to, they were losing, and I thought it was me. I was like, well, maybe I'm the
Same.
bad luck.
Me
Is that what you
too.
thought?
Yes, my parents, I would come home and they'd say, "You're not allowed to go anymore," because they would think it's me. And then I would come home from watching it somewhere and they'd say, "Were you at the game?" No, I wasn't. Trust me, the Astros just can't win at home. I just that was absolutely mind-boggling to come home and to lose to oh, thank you. To lose to the Royals, to the A's, especially when it was such a tight race there at
Mm,
the end. Oh,
it was.
man. Between everyone, I'm sure Mariner fans and Ranger fans were all feeling it, but I just think they put us in a position where Astros fans are not used to feeling like that. We kinda usually clinch a little bit earlier and
Yeah.
to fear that we weren't even gonna make the playoffs at all this last year, was a little scary, a little scary.
Yeah, it was, and nobody could really put their finger on it. They tried to blame
Yeah.
the batter's eye, but the batter's eye doesn't make sense because the visitors came in and absolutely crushed the ball. And so, Emily, when I was at Game 7, I was sitting right behind Jose Cruz's family, okay, and Jose Cruz himself, who was
Ooh,
like
okay.
he was my childhood idol. I was sitting next to Alex Centrone's family, and then down from them were the Altuves, was Carlos and Jose's wife and Jose's daughter. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, so as game seven's going on, I'm like watching. So I'm watching the game, but now I'm observing the families of the
Yeah.
players and just watching them go through the real emotions of the team getting beat the way they were getting beat. It was like that's why I was like, I can't stay till the end. I can't sit
Yeah.
here and watch the pain unfold
It's
because
different for us than it is for them.
right,
It's
because they're
yeah.
humans and it's their way of life and it's what they do, and they've won so much. and the way they lost. So I think this year, do you think last year motivates them for this year? Especially, this might be Bregman's last year as a Houston Astro. It
Uh,
might be.
yeah. You don't want to
And
think about it because of all the talk that he said that he wants to stay in Houston, and Dana Brown saying that he's had a great career in Houston. He wants to stay in Houston. They want him in Houston. So pay him the money.
yeah. So, but would you, so he's 30, would you give him 300 plus million?
I don't think so. But then who I think that you would either have to trade for a third baseman because I just don't see anyone in the farm system, or maybe, you're maybe a little bit more well versed in what's going on in the minors with our teams, but I just don't see anyone from, being moved up from AAA.
Now, have you tried to get any AAA credentials?
No, I was actually considering it, but now I might. I
Well,
don't know.
well, you should. You should. I'll put in a good word for you. I'll give Garrett a call sometime this next week. I'll put in a good word for you.
If you
We'll have
guys see me
to.
harassing minor league players, you know why. You know who to come for.
Well, AAA Sugarland, they're really, really good. Garrett Green over there runs. I mean, it's a top-notch organization. I mean, that organization really is
Yeah.
run well. He is in the position that Ryan Posner was in. Ryan Posner now he's working for the Astros, so he's moved up.
Okay.
So he's like with the big league club, and they actually gave me access to. I was able to interview Yordan Alvarez and Jose Urquidy after their first rehab starts.
Saw that, yeah.
And so that was really cool. But there are some guys in AAA that could come up. I don't know if they'd be ready. They would be ready in 25 for sure. You've got Shea Whitcomb, you got Will Wagner. I'm trying to think of other third basemen. I know outfield wise, you got Joey Loperfido. On the mound, we got Spencer Arrighetti. But third base wise, there are 2 or 3 names of guys that could make an impact at the position, but I don't think they would. I mean, they realistically would be ready in 2025, I think. Oh, I'm sorry, Zach DeCenzo also. This is a good name. Thank you so much. Yeah, he's a great. He would be a great pickup. So look, Bregman at the end of the year, I think, is going to want the bag. I mean, he's been to an ALCS every single season that he's been a major league player.
Yeah.
I mean, who else can say they've done that, right? I mean, Jose Altuve didn't even say that the first 7 years.
Yeah, I think even in college, Breggy did a couple of championships, right? So he's just known to be a champ. He's that guy. So he's gonna
See,
want
we
that
saw
money.
him. We saw him. We had moved to Louisiana for 2 years, and he was a freshman and sophomore. And when we moved back at the end of that season, I remember telling my son, who was a lot younger at the time and probably didn't care who the Astros drafted, but I was talking to him anyways because we were driving back from Louisiana. So I do what I do, and I said, "Hey, what'd be cool is if the Houston Astros drafted Alex Bregman." And my son goes, "Yeah, that would be cool." And what do? They draft him 2nd overall in the draft, and he's been here ever since. And he's been through some ups and downs, but he's that guy that if you've okay, so Emily, you've got a choice. You can only pick one. Jim Crane gives you a checkbook.
Okay.
And he says, now you can't make it unreasonable. You can't give him Ohtani money, but I'm going to give you a checkbook and you have to sign Kyle Tucker or Alex Bregman. Who are you signing?
See,
I put you on the spot.
Yeah,
I put you on the spot.
Because I'm trying to think of it rationally. Breggy's been here for a while, so he's pretty much like a Houston treasure. Him and Reagan have established themselves as Houston sweethearts. We love them here. Kyle Tucker is on his way. He's definitely earned the dollars that potentially would be thrown at him from not the Astros, maybe even another team. Don't want to even put that in the air. But I think I would rather lock down Kyle Tucker.
Okay. See, you heard it here, Bregman.
Ooh,
Baseball
no. I'm
Eric,
sorry.
See, I get to do that.
Him.
Eric, I know. Well, Eric always does that crap to me. So finally, thank you, Emily. You didn't realize the trap you were walking into.
Oh no. Sorry, Breg. I wish you the best, but King Tuck just needs a little. Well, I don't know, because someone in my comments, his name is Jared, on TikTok, he Oh man, I think he was saying that outfielders are just a little bit easier to find, and you can't really find a really good third baseman. And the
That,
Astros,
that is a good point.
yeah,
The third base position, the way he locks it down defensively, the way he simply looks, I mean, the way he looks at the ball in the box, the way that he gets on base, his ability to hit for power. Look, if we could get the Alex Bregman the next 3 or 4 years on a MVP type trajectory offensively, I would make that in a heartbeat. The thing
yeah,
I like about Tucker is he's a lefty. He plays a very good defensive outfield, and I know everybody right now is like, well, they look at his playoff, but every year you take at least one player and look at their playoff performance. Okay,
hmm,
Altuve in 2020. In 2021, was it Bregman who was off? Like, there's every year we've had one
it's
player that
somebody,
wasn't
yeah,
right. I mean, George Springer wasn't even really hitting that well until he started hitting home runs in the 2017 World Series, right? Remember, he hit like 5 home runs and like, so many, like in that World
yeah,
Series.
yeah,
Up to that point, he wasn't hitting. And there was talk of him being removed from the leadoff position. There was all that stuff. So you have to go through the ups and the downs with these players. But that is a good point.
yeah.
Outfielders are a dime a dozen. You can find them. It's tough to find third baseman. And, we had even bantered about this. If the Astros did, because we thought maybe they were going to trade him, if they traded him, why not bring in someone like a Matt Chapman, who's like a 4-time Gold Glover? So if you can replace him when he leaves with somebody that's
Sure,
a
yeah,
legitimate major leaguer, let's do it. But Bregman's just one of those guys you just want to keep around, because Bregman said he wants to stay with Altuve. But I'm telling you right now, if they sign Bregman, they won't be able to keep Tucker, I don't think,
yeah,
unless Crane goes away from what he's done.
yeah. But the Astros also have a tendency of taking a guy and moving him completely in a different position. Wasn't Jordan Alvarez a first baseman, and now he's in left
Yeah,
field most of the time? And Breggy
yeah.
was a shortstop, so they could kind of do that as well. Dubon was an outfielder, now he's our utility guy, which I absolutely love. I'm so excited for. But yeah, exactly. Whoever replaces Breggy has big shoes to fill, which we kind of really got lucky with when people are like, okay, whoever replaces Correa, big shoes to fill. Jeremy Pena kind of just slid right
Yeah.
in.
Well, and that's what we talked about. We don't have that Pena to replace Bregman. We don't have
Yeah.
really that person this year to do that. So let's do this. Before we have to go, tell us about social media. Like, how did you get, like, did you just one day decide you were going to record baseball stuff? How did that get started?
So I was on Twitter. I had a little bit of a following, like 2K. I got locked out one day. My data got stolen from
Uh-oh.
Twitter, and I just didn't want to go back and do the whole thing and rebuild myself. So I said, "Hey, I'll just start on a different platform." Chose TikTok, and it really just kind of skyrocketed. It took off, and that's what I originally loved doing, is creating video content. So mixing passion like the Astros and baseball with video content creation was just kind of a no-brainer. And TikTok is popping off anyway, so
It
why
is.
not? Yeah.
Well, your TikTok is popping
Yeah.
off. I can't
Thank
get
you.
more than 300 per video. You get like
Go
3,000 per
follow.
video.
Go follow him.
Yeah. Hey, go follow her. Y'all follow me. Let's all be one big happy
Be
family. I just
friends.
rhymed. Wow. Look at that. And what we can do, because we're gonna wrap this show up here in about 3 or 4 minutes. And if you want to, Emily, we can keep broadcasting and talk more and do an extended locked on through the TikToks. I can just shut
What do
this
you guys
bad boy
think?
down. People from YouTube can go over to TikTok and check us out. How's that? You down for
Yeah,
that?
I'm down for
Let's
that.
do
We
that.
can get some
That's awesome.
questions. We only got 10 people over
Yeah.
here, but if you're on here
Yeah.
on YouTube, come on over to either of our TikTok channels.
Yeah.
Help us grow. We're here for everybody. Yeah. Oh, and
That's
also, if
right.
anyone out there wants to make content, just do it. Look at us.
Just do it. Just go out there. Yeah. I mean, just some regular Joes and Josies. Like you say regular Joe, what is the girl version of that? Regular Emily's?
Jane? Oh,
Jane's?
Emily.
I don't know. You should be a
Sure.
regular Emily. Awesome. Well, hey, this has been great. I really appreciate you joining us. I really, we'll have to bring you on whenever we have Eric as well. it's definitely fun when we have the 3 windows filled up. But we'll definitely have you on there, and on TikTok we'll talk about my own personal show, the Htown Wheelhouse show. You always have to go look for that. Go look at Athletically Declined Sports, and then check out under podcast the Htown Wheelhouse show. I do other sports content. It's not Astros. So Locked On Astros, I'm locked in here, but over there I've got other sports going. But we're about to head out of the studios. And Emily, thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter one more time.
You can find me on Twitter /X, Baseball Girly _, on TikTok and Instagram, Baseball Girly 713.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been another awesome edition of Locked On Astros. We're your team every single day. Yes, and don't forget to go to the only 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, Locked On Sports Today. Check it out, subscribe. Make sure you make us your team every day. Make us your first listen. She's Emily. I'm Htown Wheelhouse, and this has been a great edition of Locked On Astros. Come follow us on TikTok. Have a good one. Those pros. Good show, Emily.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely.